that India should be a leader, at least in certain areas. Yoga is one area where India undoubtedly has established its leadership, and that leadership is going to last for quite some time. Unless the other countries follow it up and take it up. But yoga is spreading, and whatever India has done, I would say it's okay, but there is much more to be done, and that is something which is expected from our country as such. So that is very important. And Kaivalya Dham as such, they are the pioneering institute affiliated to Sarojini Naidu University, and they are doing an excellent work. But much more need to be done. Much more need to be done. And this conference will definitely provide an opportunity to discuss each and every aspect related to yoga. And that is why I think that is very, very important. Now come to this particular topic of today's discussion, panel discussion, that yoga in Institute of Higher Learning, delivery of academic program, research and community services. Okay. Now this is an important area, particularly for institutes like ours. As far as Pune University is concerned, Pune University has been practicing yoga, there is no doubt about it, but at the same time also offering certificate and diploma courses in yoga. And he knows it very well. We have been doing it for quite some time. And now we have started doing it in a more organized manner, in the sense that we have a health sciences department. And through the health sciences department, we have started yoga courses. It's just not a yoga as a practice, but the scientific basis of yoga. Okay, so there is something, science behind yoga that is studied at the fundamental level. Okay, totally at the scientific level. And yoga has a scientific basis, absolutely no doubt. So that those type of courses we are starting at even at the PG level, and we have a plan to start it at the UG level also. Now this is something, these courses can be started only where they will have the expertise available. And that expertise both in both formats. As such, one, the faculty or the experts who understand the molecular basis of yoga. What happens if you practice yoga? What exactly happens? If you are concentrating, okay, then what happens to your various biological systems? All your systems, including respiration, digestion, nervous systems, excretory systems, and all those things, what happens to that? If you need to understand that, then you need to have people from science as well as people who actually practice yoga. They have to communicate. And that itself cannot be limited. You include social scientists also there, and then see the practice. So yoga teaching, if you really want to initiate it, and you really want to spread it, and if you want to really people understand yoga first and then practice yoga, okay, then you need to create a cadre of academicians, okay, people who actually understand the fundamental basis of yoga. If they understand, then they can talk about yoga in a better manner. Otherwise, then it becomes something like an exercise only. You do certain exercise which benefits you. It has some benefits, medical to related, maybe cardiac, this and that. So people will look at it only that way, superficially. But if you talk about it in a different manner, yoga as a science, okay, yoga as a basic philosophy, yoga as a basis for a social behavior. If you talk like that and try to find it out what are the fundamental reasons for that, then you will enjoy yoga in entirely. And that type of study has to be taken. And that type of study can be taken up only in the academic institutes which are seriously involved in the academic institutes, and not only academic institutes, but also those academic institutes which have expertise in various faculties. So multidisciplinarity or interdisciplinarity aspect is very, very important. And if you really want to make yoga more powerful, more broader, in its applications, wider, then in that case it has to, approach in a different manner. And therefore I see that first of all, the academic community, faculties particularly, and the students of course, okay, must understand the fundamental basis of. And therefore, I look at it as an interdisciplinary subject, but it has to be done. And I mean, if you do yoga or if you study yoga, there is absolutely nothing wrong about it. Why people don't do it, I don't understand it. You can only gain out of it. You don't lose anything. Don't lose anything. There are certain things which people would like to avoid studying those type of things. But yoga is something which you cannot. One should not. And that is why yoga is picking up in our other countries much more than what it is picking up in India. So in my opinion, from this conference, a good message has to go. Good message has to go. And the program should be formulated based on the scientific reasons and the mechanism. Involve as many scientists as possible. And there could be biological scientists, there could be behavioral scientists, there will be people involved in the physical education as such, okay, the psychologists as such, the social scientists as such, and if possible the neurologists also. Okay, put all of them together, and then ask them to formulate, prepare curriculum at the different levels. Okay, it can be at the UG level, it can be at the PG level, it can be at the 6-month short-term courses also, leading to certificate. It could be 1-year program also leading to a diploma or a degree program. So if you put it that way and then offer it to the students, I'm sure there will be large number of takers for this course. There will be large number of takers for this course, not only from this country but from outside country also. But we have to do it in an organized manner. Somebody has to do it. Kavaldar Dham is in a position to take up that type of a responsibility, but many more institutes have to come up which will, take up this responsibility. Because we have to spread yoga at the national level in a manner that our Prime Minister wants, our government wants, then it has to be a sort of a movement. It has to be an approach and a vision. Then only it is possible. A lot of consistent efforts are required from many faculties also. But this can be done. It may take some time. May not be possible in 1 year, may not be possible in 2 years. But within 4, 5, 10 years, it will definitely be one of the largest faculties. Like you have science faculty or humanities. Like that, yoga can be a great faculty. And that is how it should be. And if we do that, I'm sure India will provide leadership in this area. So with these initial words, I will invite my other panelists, and we have a really professor, senior faculty members, very senior people who are in the academic administration also, and in this area also contributing very heavily. So we have Professor Sunil Saini, we have Hiroshi Aikata from Japan, Dr. Satbir Khalsa from USA, and Dr. S.P. Mishra. Very senior panelists are there. Their views we are going to listen to. I have some constraints of a time, so I will be giving another 20 minutes or so. But one of the panelists can chair and the discussion can go on. So with these few words, may I invite Professor Sunil Saini to share his views. You can speak from here.
I would like to admit, I would like to share with you, I'm a facilitator. I'm receptive to the ideas of yoga integrating into patient care, education, and to my students. I come from a university which was founded by Swami. His name was Swami Rama, almost 25 years back. And here it's an institution of medical institutions to begin with. Now we have engineering college, nursing college, and how in higher education we have integrated yoga and the concepts of yoga I would like to share with you. Almost 20 years now. I'm a surgeon, I'm a cancer surgeon. Before coming to this conference, before just coming over here, I operated for 10 hours at a stretch. 2 patients over 2 consecutive days for cancer of esophagus. Let me share, I enjoy it. I see it as a process of meditation, a prolonged session of meditation. And at the end of the surgery, I feel relaxed. So that's what the key speaker to yesterday was telling, the yoga is to get focused, to do your work with focus, in a focused manner, so that you can perform well. So I have tried to integrate in my practice to some extent these concepts, and I have enjoyed my work. Now let me share what we do at my institute. It's known as Swami Rama Himalayan University now. Earlier it was known as Himalayan Institute of Medical Sciences. This journey started with Swami Rama, who wanted to integrate the Eastern and Western philosophy, the technology from the West and the Eastern philosophy of yoga and life from the Eastern side. At the Himalayan Institute, we started integrating these concepts in patient care and students, which included the medical students, the nursing students, the paramedical students. And now, all kinds of students. Just let me. In the very beginning, we set up a department of holistic medicine, which was headed by a neurologist who spent all his life in America and thereafter came here with 30 years of experience. And we imparted the knowledge about yoga and trying to do that in a scientific manner, keeping aside the religion. We tried to do that, educating everybody who was taking employment with us, every doctor who was coming to work with us, and we tried to put that knowledge into the students, as well as the patients who were coming to us. We set up a center of Ayurveda center, again tagging with it yoga and Ayurveda together, from a service point of view. Very late recently, I heard the Cancer Institute, so I set up a unit of palliative and psychosocial oncology. It's more about yoga, it's more about lifestyle, delivering, imparting that service to patients as well as those who are coming to us for training. Very recently, we have set up a yoga cell under Department of Physiology, employing yoga therapists with us. We already had many yoga therapists, but lately we employed them as faculty in the medical institution. Science of Joyful Living. This is one of the workshops we have been doing for last 20 years for faculty, for staff, nurses, for the medical students, everybody. This is a 2-day workshop compulsory for everybody whomsoever joins us. Why the word science? Because in higher education is driven by science. They don't want to accept religion. They don't want to accept something which is subjective. So we did it in a scientific manner. I'm one of the faculty in Science of Joyful Living. So we teach all our students about Hatha Yoga. Let me share here. Our aim is not to produce yoga certification or yoga teachers or yoga faculty. We are making them facilitator. Every one of you who is a yoga teacher, you need 100 facilitators with you to accept what you want to teach them, what you want to deliver to them. So that's our objective. So we teach them Hatha Yoga, a bit of physical aspect of it, science of breath, the physiological concepts behind it, creative use of emotions, meditation and its practice, how to remain focused, how to settle the inner self, and stress management. The medical students are burdened with so many books. It's considered the most laborious, the most tiresome course in the country, the MBBS course. There's so much of resistance from the parents, from the students to put something more onto them. So we try to do that in a humble manner, in a gentle manner, so that people accept it. Very recently, when we are a private university, but with a difference. We try to integrate the yogic concepts into it. Why I'm sharing about our university? Because I'm giving an example how it can be done in higher education. So we have made compulsory class for every student on every Saturday about 1 hour class on yoga, imparting the scientific basis about yoga, imparting some of the practical aspects of it. This is once a week, but this is optional. It is optional, although we have tried to make it lucrative by giving 5 bonus marks in final exam. We can do it because we are a private university. Yoga integration into patient care, in the health and wellness, that is the goal of all of us sitting here. We try to do that through educating nurses, the paramedical staff, having clinics, special clinics within our hospital. And then nurses who are receptive to it, naturally, they are happy to allow a yoga therapist to do yoga therapies. We got recognized as one of the regional centers for medical education. Medical education for the teachers by the MCI. Almost 20 medical colleges in North India are under our umbrella to impart education to them. Very recently, the Medical Council of India approached us, identified out of the whole country, they identified our institution to help them to frame curriculum about mind and body medicine. They were very particular, telling us, please don't use the word yoga. We want to integrate yoga, but without offending people, without offending others. So the word given was mind and body medicine. We sent our recommendations very recently. I'm sharing with you the recommendations which we have sent to them. We divided this into 3 phases because medical curriculum is 5.5 years of the course, where the student would start with basic science and thereafter goes to clinic and to the practical aspect of it. So we started with phase 1 with introduction to the concepts of integration of body, breath and mind. Everything is yoga inside, where we are trying to introduce in a scientific manner so that there is more receptivity among the scientific people. So this is in phase 1, where the student would read it in the first year or second year of their MBBS curriculum. The phase 2 is now integrating those concepts, scientific concepts, into more discussion and dialogue and maybe the bedside. So more in-depth discussions on the above topics, introducing the concept of psychosomatic disorders. The founder believed 85% of the diseases are psychosomatic. They are influenced by our mind. The science of psycho-neuroimmunology. The concept, there is a lot of information on internet, a lot more people are working on it. So we introduce this into our recommendation that share this knowledge with the students. The role of mind in the health, role of mind in infections. Our mind may work either way, making us prone to all kinds of infections if we are nurturing a negative mind. Role of mind in inflammatory disorders, in immune-mediated disorders, lots of autoimmune diseases are they originate in our mind. They influence our mind, influence the course of the illness, include the course of illness of cancer. So many of the diseases, the diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, they are related with our mind, how we conduct ourselves in a healthy state and a disease state. So this is what we intend to teach our students. The phase 3 is a more focus on the scientific basis, taking it to the practical aspect, including how about the diet, the kind of diet we take. We cannot segregate diet from the yogic concepts. Diet is related with our physical aspect to take care of our body. So a right diet, a regulated diet is important for health and wellness of the physical body as well as mind and spirit. Taking care of sleep, a good sleep, a sleep hygiene is so important. Exercise, meditation, all these things are important. So we integrated into our recommendations. We are already doing it with our students. This is what we shared with Medical Council of India. They are still considering it, and we are hopeful in coming time it would come into medical curriculum. So with these words, I would like to conclude in higher education, particularly in medical education, because that's the most important aspect, to create an environment into medical fraternity to be receptive to ideas of yoga. So they need to be made aware of the concepts of the yoga. Thank you so much.
Various scientific basis, including the immunological basis and all that. Before we move to the next speaker, we have thanks. Yoga practice does not give me money. Does not give me money in return, which is required to live life. Why I should practice yoga then? Then the other picture, currently wealth is more important than health. Parents and kids relate everything they do presently to future returns. How would they then adopt yoga vis-a-vis other learnings which bring wealth in life? You will answer that. Okay, first let him answer it and then.
A very pertinent question. All these youngsters who are sitting here, who are ready to receive certification in yoga, we need to find jobs. Unless there are jobs available for them, unless the government or the regulatory authorities create jobs for them, yoga cannot progress. Before the education, the jobs have to come. An environment, a regulation, or regulatory authorities have to think about it, creating jobs in the healthcare career. Just like we have a job for Ayurvedic physician, we have a job for physiotherapist, we have a job for a nurse. There has to be a job, a position has to be created by the government in healthcare system. That's the only way to take the yoga further. Otherwise, where they will go, how they will make their livelihood, how they are going to sustain their family. So it is not only about integrating in education, it is more integrating into the healthcare system. The healthcare is managed by the state. Let me share, the state government is responsible for healthcare management. So it is the state which we need to bang the door at the state government. At the same time, we have to work with the regulatory authorities in the central as well as in the state government. They may be educational, they may be healthcare management, whatever they may be. So I mean to say, we have to find a place, a job for all of you in healthcare system first. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Saini. Very well answered. There is one thing I would like to add. Well, any education, any type of education, okay? Let me assure everybody that if you have a knowledge, okay, that is your real wealth. Okay? If you have a knowledge, that knowledge could be in any area, whether it is yoga, whether it is biology, whether it is biotechnology, whether it is commerce, management, engineering, even if it is a law and whatnot. But if you have a real knowledge, okay, that is the real wealth today. Okay, that is the real wealth. Bill Gates is Bill Gates only because of the enormous knowledge that he has created and that he possesses. Okay, that is the real wealth. Okay, and take for example anybody. Oil producing countries have gone down now. It's only countries which are generating knowledge, those countries are now wealthy, and that is applicable to the individual also. So any knowledge that you obtain, that is going to provide you a wealth. Okay, you only must know it, how to use that knowledge or how to transport that knowledge into money power. That is something, the management skills that you have to have. Okay, if you have that management skills, any type of knowledge, that you will convert it into money. Okay, how to do that? That you come to university. Okay, and we will train you for that. We will train you for that. Marshall's, concept, knowledge. If you have that, that actually leads to the wealth. He has proved it also through various models. And yoga is not a bad type of a knowledge. You have that, there is, because if you do any other course, it may have applications only in India, but you do yoga, it has tremendous application, not only in the education system, but also for a common man. Sir talked about the lifestyles and all that, the various types of the problems that you have any institutes, any corner about yoga, if you start it, I'm sure you are going to earn lots of money if you are concerned with money as such. So I do not think that is going to be a problem or that is going to be a drawback. Okay? In fact, in my opinion, that will provide an added advantage. So before we go to the next speaker, what I will do it, of course, taking liberty with the organizers, I will request Professor Sunil Saini to chair the further part of the session. I may have to leave. So, and then after that, of course, he will give guidance. So, thank you so much.
From Japan, who share his views with the audience.
My topic is this. So I've been working in Thailand to implement the yoga into the university levels. So let me report what I'm doing. And so our intention is to do yoga as a philosophy of life. And unfortunately, and it is not like India, where we go in the field of yoga, especially in the foreign countries. And we have a lot of the difficulties to introduce yoga. But at the same time, every country, somehow, 30% of people are attracted to yoga. And to provide such people, so we need to implement yoga into the higher education, especially university levels. And so make yoga as a lifelong sustainable activity, especially beyond the health promotion aspect. Since 2001, I've been working in this senior academic universities, and it is under the Faculty of Humanities and Department of Philosophy Religions. And now we manage two courses. One is for department, one is for students, yoga minors. Means this university also follows the credit system in USA. And for graduation, so they have to earn around 130 credits. Now out of 100 credits, so we created the yoga minors. So the undergraduate students can earn 20 credits, and minimum 18. And also for the adults, for the adult learners, so we have the yoga teacher training. The one is for the SW Trinity University Department. The other is we created our office for the Thai Montreal Foundation, under the one foundation. This is the medical foundation, consists of the medical doctor to disseminate the knowledge-based healthcare system. Then under this Montreal Foundation, we created the Thai Yoga Institute. So this is mostly to the administration and coordination and public relations. And recently, since 2010, we focus more to our community activities. And the graduate of this adult learners program are more engaged into this center. This is Buddhadasa Inbound Arcade. This is urban Buddhist study centers and meditation centers. Okay. So this is the triangle that what we have been carrying our activities. So 2001 to 4, we are fortunately we got the grant from the Thai Health Promotion Foundations. And this is an autonomous body under the Thai government. Actually, this 2001 is the year that this foundation is established. Then we were selected, so yoga is selected one of the first projects. 4 years, so we are granted, we are getting quite a handsome amount of the government money. Then 2001, Department of Philosophy, and yoga is first introduced one subject as the undergraduate student in Indian philosophy. And to practice yoga, and not only for, the idea is not only to study about the theory of the Indian philosophy, but students should have experience. Because most of the Eastern philosophy has a more practice and experience oriented. So not only yoga, yoga is for Indian philosophy and yoga. And not only that, so this department also introduced for the student to study the Chinese philosophy subject to have the practical experience of the Tai Chi. And also the Buddhist philosophy, the student also has to go under training of the meditation. And they practice the Vipassana mostly, because this is the Theravada Buddhist countries. Then, at the same year, we started the yoga to the adult learners. So, we nailed yoga teachers training course. Actually, we didn't like much of this idea. So, we don't know we are capable or not to train yoga teachers. But this is a common name, especially to draw the attention of the concerned people. In 2004, after 4 years, so 4 years we are supported by the government funds. Then we could create our institute in our office in 2004. And then 2005, we could implement the yoga into the minor subject. And first, this project was just for the philosophy students. Already there's obstacles. We have been running the minor subject. Okay. And this is invited for all of the faculties and faculties. And in 2010, so we are focusing more on the community service to the Buddhist organization. Because, this is Thailand, this is India, and this is Thailand. And population is about 67 million. And they are mostly 95% people follow the Theravada Buddhism. Then, and this is Thailand. And before Thailand, again, it is developed in the 3 phases. In the Scotai Kingdom, 13th to 15th centuries, and Ayutthaya, 14th to 18th. And then, it is a constitutional monarchies. Now, currently, it is called the Ratanakosin kingdoms. Up to the medieval time, actually this region, the center of civilization is Cambodia, the Khmer and Angkor Wat. It lasts about 600 years. And they follow this is the Buddhist and the Hindus. Then as the Cambodia and the Khmer Empire decline, this is the Thai. Those days it's called Siam, is our laws. And 14th to 18th century. Because this cultural background getting more important when make yoga continuous and sustainable activities. Because not only yoga is for the health promotion. So in the challenge with modern people is how to maintain, how to secure our holistic, healthy self-images. So yoga is not only to integrate body and mind, and it is a tool actually to connect ourselves to the cultural and spiritual background. Okay? And this is the contemporary time. This is how the Buddhism spread. As Buddhism spread, yoga follows. But now we have to reconnect to through the Buddhist country, there is yoga. But people are not aware of that cultural elements. And through the modern form of the yogic technique and yogic practices, this becomes the kind of the powerful tool to rediscover. Okay? And this is Buddhist images. And there are plenty of images. But still there is and in this region, this is still it is we see, and also people worship the Ganesha here. Okay. Main problem is growing the activities of the commercialized yogas for the West, and especially in Thailand also last 400 years. This is destroying our effort or our image of yogas. So since last years, India takes more initiative as the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji declared yoga is Indian cultural heritage. So this situation is also now to the academic field, so more the effort will be implemented to make yoga, to protect yoga values. So we have more properly. So our hope also will be much easier in the coming years. So we go to differentiate. It all comes from our traditional yogas, but we differentiate to this the knowledge-based yogas and commercial yogas. So we have to differentiate very carefully. Okay. And also background of yoga, it comes from this is also the simplest chart, but it comes from the Indian philosophy, comes from the Veda Upanishad tradition, and the center is always Yoga Sutras. But technically, actually we are applying the Hatha Yoga tradition, comes from the Tantras. And for Indian people, probably this is very taken granted, natural. But for us, we have to do lots of effort to assimilate and to, especially to adapt to the concept and principle of Yoga Sutra into the Hatha Yogic technique. And I myself maybe takes almost 10 or 20 years to understand this aspect. I say probably so my colleague from the foreign country may agree at this point. Okay? And then not only that, and the Indian philosophy is not only Astika, there is an Astika branches in our models. And Buddhism is one of the major movements, especially when the Buddhism also disappeared from the land. It spread all over the Asian countries. And especially I am now focusing more to the yoga in the Asian perspective. So it is a way to connect myself, reconnect myself as being a Japanese, also being the Asians, and being the Buddhist. Then finally, I'm also the part of this vision of the Indian spirituality. Then, so we in our program we discussed a lot about the background. Then, structure of yoga should be very strict, following the Patanjali Ashtanga Yoga. Plus, there's some technique from Hatha Yoga tradition like Kriya and Mudra Bandhas. And asana and pranayama, samadhi should be always in one unit. Samadhi actually can be in the 5-step pranayama, pratyahara, dana, dhyana, samadhi. But collectively, we call as a meditative practice as samadhi. And one of the major problem we are facing is people have no chance to see the whole picture. Because most of the form of the yoga, as a commercialized form, is just to got disappointed. This is the main gates from the universities. This is one of the government universities and this campus, and then the Faculty of the Humanities. Actually, Faculty of Humanities is the last building in the campus, most minor faculties. Then, among the minor faculties of the Faculty of Humanities, philosophy department is again the corners, the last department. And this is our colleague. He is the associate professor of the Kitty. He is the main architect who implemented the yoga project, yoga program in this department. And this is my colleague to the lecturers. And in the department, this is the classroom, and this classroom is kept only for yoga. And the total yoga and the Chinese philosophy of the Tai Chi and the meditations. And for the students, so we objective is to realize the real value of the yoga, the Eastern philosophies, and to study mechanisms of the human body and some effect of the techniques and to the mechanisms. And it's very important to understand the scientific aspect of yoga techniques. And then to develop the balanced body, the mind through the regular practice yoga. And this is a 2-year subject, 2 years, okay, to apply yoga in the day-to-day life and the present circumstances of the societies and to be able to instruct the basic yoga to common people. Means, so those students who study the 2 years of the minor, and they also expected to share some of their study and learning to the other people. And then there are 6 subjects we started, and 20 present, and minimum 18 present. And the introduction of yoga, basic anatomy and physiology for yoga practices, yoga practice 1, 2, and history, and development yogas. And also applied yoga, especially seminar on the yoga of life. And also each semester there's additional camps for 2 and 3 days, and also occasionally invite guest lecturers to the related subject. And this is the format, and second year, third years, so they take the 2 papers each. And the class is held in the Monday and Wednesday and Friday, 3 times a week. Because for this practical subject, it needs the frequencies of the practices. Once a week it may not be enough. And admission is each batch is 20 students, and all about 20 is only. But usually every year we have the full capacity in each batch. And to academic years, and the 4 semesters, and yoga from the month, and the student has to practice yoga regularly, and the teacher supervises their progress. And then, who is the teaching staff? And our teaching staff is the criteria of those who studied in this institute. And we have 6 from the CCY, and we have 1 from the DYEDs. And also, they also analyze this and practice the meditation vipassana regularly. This is the class. These students and also related subject and philosophy and this is the presentation. Please approach me. I will explain some more details.
Thank you so much. How much is happening outside India, and we really congratulate him for taking yoga to the.
We love yoga.
We can take up questions later on. So I now invite our next panelist, Dr. Sandeep Khalshaji, to share his views. He comes from the United States.
The delegates, it's an honor to be here, to be able to present on this panel on this topic of higher education. Now, one of the problems that I first encountered when I was given this topic of higher education was to figure out whether I was talking about higher education in yoga or yoga in higher education. And to me, higher education in yoga is basically academic courses on yoga or yoga therapy offered in higher education settings of colleges or universities. Can you go back to the first slide? There we go. And an example, of course, is our colleague who just gave this talk on this university in Thailand. The other option was to do yoga in higher education, which to me means evaluating research on the prevalence of the efficacy of yoga for improving the functioning of students in higher education settings of colleges, universities, or medical schools. So, not figuring out which one this was, I decided to do both. So let me first talk about academic courses on yoga in higher education. And I started looking on the internet to do a search to find such courses. And the rationale for an academic course in yoga in a higher institution would be that this provides an opportunity for students to learn a new lifestyle strategy that can improve health, personal growth, awareness, and spirituality at a key time in young adulthood, because many university students are in their early 20s. So looking around first in the United States, there is one university called Loma Linda University. It's a Catholic university in California, which does offer a master's in arts program. So it's a degree program in yoga studies at Loma Linda University. There is another smaller university called Hindu University of America, which also offers a degree program in yoga education. There are even smaller colleges which are really focused on contemplative practice. One of these is the Naropa Institute, and it has a yoga teacher training concentration. And so now we start to get a little bit smaller in terms of the institutions, and these are now almost teacher training programs, perhaps not so much as a degree course. And this is another example of that. This is the University of New Mexico, which offers a yoga teacher training program to be certified in yoga instruction through the college. So it's not necessarily really a degree course in that sense. That's pretty much it in the United States. So there's very little that's offered in terms of yoga courses in higher institutions. But the same is true also internationally. So in the UK, there is this one institute in London called SOAS, and they have a master's program in traditions of yoga and meditation. And then in Australia is RMIT University, which has a credit course offered in yoga fundamentals. And there is not much else in terms of international institutions that I could find. Even talking to my colleague from Thailand, he told me that his is the only university in Thailand that has a yoga academic program. So there is very little internationally in terms of yoga programs offered in higher institutions. So that brings us to India. And when I started searching the internet, I was relieved to find that somebody has already done this work for me. This website lists all the yoga universities, colleges, and institutions in India that are offering either yoga courses or yoga degree programs. I'm personally familiar with at least 6 institutions. Obviously, Kaivalya is one, Vyasa is another, Patanjali OP. So I was personally familiar with at least 6 institutions, and I figured there might be a dozen or a couple of dozen institutions in India that had either courses or degree programs in yoga. So when I went through this list on the website, I found 55 institutions in India. So clearly, India is far, far ahead of any other country in the world in terms of the offerings of yoga programs, either in terms of courses or in terms of degree programs. So then there's the idea of academic courses on yoga therapy, the therapeutic aspect of yoga in higher education. And the rationale here is that this provides education opportunities for yoga instructors to acquire yoga therapy skills for therapeutic applications, so-called yoga therapy. In the United States, we have the International Association of Yoga Therapists, which is organizing credentialing criteria for schools of yoga therapy to establish minimum criteria for training in yoga therapy. Now, most of these schools are independent, private, small organizations. Very few of them are affiliated with major colleges or universities. There are a few exceptions. One of these is at Loma Linda University. They have a yoga therapy program which leads to a master's degree, and this is run by Larry Payne, who's pictured here, and he's the author of a number of books and has been a leader in the field of yoga therapy in the United States for many decades. A more recent institution that is now offering a master's program in yoga therapy is the Maryland University of Integrative Health. It's a smaller university that offers this practical yoga therapy program. There are smaller institutions. This is a small college in Canada offering a yoga therapy extension course for credit. And then this is questionable in my mind. This is an online university that offers a yoga therapy training by distance learning, which is hard for me to imagine how you do yoga therapy by distance learning. So that's it, International Yoga Therapy. Coming back to India, of course, this same website lists many, many institutions, and again, Kaivalya Dhamma, Vyasa, Patanjali Yoga, offering established credit programs and courses in yoga therapy. So now let's turn to the other half of the coin, which is research on yoga for either college students or medical students. And I've divided it up amongst college students and medical students because there are slightly different emphases. And the rationale for implementing yoga to college students is obviously for stress management and emotion regulation. We don't have in our society any technology that allows us to cope with stress and regulation, and yoga is a perfect solution for managing stress and regulating emotions, and then also managing anxiety, and particularly exam stress and exam anxiety, test anxiety. So yoga, I think, has a real place in improving the lives of graduate and undergraduate students in college settings. And looking at the research that's been done, there are a couple of dozen studies that have been done looking at clinical trials of yoga in university or college students. And these range anywhere from 1992 to 2015, with most of these studies actually done, virtually all of them done in the past 5 to 6 years or so. The outcomes that have been evaluated in those studies include a wide variety of changes and improvements, and ones that you would expect to see with yoga. So stress, mood, anxiety, worry, depression, sleep, tension, fatigue, anger, and then cognitive performance, mindfulness, emotional sensitivity, physiological parameters like brainwave coherence, relaxation, autonomic arousal, oxidative stress, inflammatory response, immune function, and breath capacity. And a lot of these are outcomes that you see in the research literature on yoga for adult populations. It's also similar to the results you see in yoga in children and adolescents. So it should not be really surprising that we see the same outcomes in young adults. And just to give you an example is a study that we conducted in a yoga conservatory in undergraduate students going for a music degree. And this was done at the Boston Conservatory in Boston. One of the problems with music performance is music performance anxiety. And this is a serious condition for a music student. For a regular college student, if he has test anxiety or so on, he just has to make it past his degree and then he's okay. But with a music student, music students always have to perform. And so if they have music performance anxiety or stage fright, this can actually terminate their career. So this is a serious condition that music students have to deal with. If they can't deal with it, they can't have a career in this field. And so this is a study showing that the prevalence of this problem in these students. You can see here on the left that the majority of students have some degree of negative impact of performance anxiety on their musical career, and most of them have some degree of impairment of their performance due to music performance anxiety. And so we believe that yoga could be effective in helping them deal with music performance anxiety. So we conducted this study at the Boston Conservatory, which is a school for the performing arts. This awards both bachelor's and master's degrees in music. We looked at full-time students who were either instrumentalists and or vocalists. And this was a single group trial. We had 24 participants with an age range of 18 to 29. We gave them 14 one-hour yoga classes, 2 classes per week over 9 weeks on the conservatory campus. We also asked them to do home practice 4 days per week using a 16-minute audio CD. And then finally, we looked at outcome measures before and after the yoga, which included performance anxiety questionnaires, and a state trait anxiety questionnaire, and a profile of mood states questionnaire. So the results are displayed in this table here. Suffice it to say, we got statistically significant improvements in solo performance anxiety, also in group performance anxiety. Another anxiety questionnaire also shows statistically significant improvements. State trait anxiety was also improved, and then the attention anxiety subscale of the profile of mood states showed a trend for improvement. So clearly this was a small sample size, a single group trial, but we were able to significantly reduce a major obstacle for their profession. So this was the first study to provide support for the efficacy of yoga in reducing music performance anxiety in music conservatory students. The participants who completed the measures at follow-up 7 to 14 months after the end of the intervention all reported that they had continued to practice yoga or meditation. Their improvement was sustained, and their performance anxiety showed a trend towards a significant decrease from post-intervention, suggesting the possibility of continuing improvement. Therefore, yoga may prove to be an efficacious and cost-effective addition to the curricula of music schools. And the beauty of this is that it's not a drug, it's not a pill. This is a lifelong skill that they now have that they can use not only for their music performance, but for life in general. So the final topic I wanted to address is research on yoga for students in healthcare professions, particularly medical or dental schools. And the rationale for doing this is similar to the rationale for in college students to deal with stress management, emotion regulation, and management of anxiety and test anxiety. If anything, these would probably even be higher in medical schools than it would be in a typical college curriculum. But the other thing that's important in medicine is improving self-awareness, improving the functionality of the individual so that he can be a better healthcare provider. This is an important part of medicine. And this paper actually deals with this issue. This was published as a survey study of many integrative programs that were implementing mind-body medicine. And they talked about the importance of self-awareness in medicine. And they concluded that self-awareness is very important for medical practice. It is a basic requirement for practicing healthcare. It improves advising, decision-making, and communication. It's important to self-understanding or insight. It's important to accomplish a deeper understanding of integrative medicine. And it also fosters self-care and personal development. Because one of the biggest problems in medicine is the so-called burnout and compassion fatigue. These are major problems for medical providers who are under a big burden in modern healthcare. So there are a number of studies looking particularly at medicine students, and these are underestimating the number of studies. These are mostly just pulled off of PubMed, but you can see that there are about a dozen studies going back several decades. And then there are studies on other health professions. Some of these are nurses and some of these are dentistry students. So you can see that there is literature supporting this, and the outcome measures, again, are the kinds of outcome measures you see in ordinary yoga, and that is general health and well-being, stress, physical disorders, depression, anxiety, test anxiety, sleep, cardiovascular conditions, immune function, academic performance, concentration, self-compassion, which is very important for medical providers, social functioning, self-discovery, self-confidence, and even an attitude towards medicine itself. Because this whole idea of burnout, many medical students burn out and leave the profession because they can't manage the lifestyle issues that are involved in that profession. And then finally, I want to conclude with an elective course in mind-body medicine that I have been leading at Harvard Medical School over the past 10 years. And when we first proposed this course to Harvard Medical School, we wanted to have yoga practice along with the lectures as part of the credit. And Harvard Medical School refused to give us credit for the yoga practice. So we said, okay, we will just give credit for the lecture part, and we will give the yoga classes as an optional practice. And fortunately, 2 years ago, we went back to Harvard Medical School and said we would like to have credit for the yoga classes, and they agreed. So there is progress in this area. And these are some of the comments from some of the medical students that have taken the yoga in the course, and we asked them whether they felt that the yoga was an important part of the course. And so these are some of the comments of medical students. I experienced something wonderful and left sessions feeling entirely different than when I went in. Another student said, I think it's very hard to understand how big of a difference meditation can make in one's life without actually doing it. I've definitely noticed an improvement in my attitude towards thinking about things, and I'm definitely more relaxed and happier. Another student said, I experienced firsthand how relaxed I could get and how my stress levels dropped just with simple breathing exercises. And then finally, I believe the topics covered in this course should be mandatory for medical education. And of course, I agree very much with that last comment. And I'm going to leave you with the yoga therapy cartoon. Okay, your posture is very good. Now relax, concentrate, and slowly let go of your mobile. Thank you for your attention.
I like him. And he has really brought up so much of scientific data, scientific studies, what's going on about yoga and mindfulness. Thank you so much. Now I invite Dr. S.P. Mishra. He is currently Vice Chancellor in Pilani, and he has been Vice Chancellor of a university in Haridwar, which is known as Dev Suman University, and Dev Suman Sanskrit University. Again, it's more about yoga philosophy, and the university has been imparting lots of yoga education, certificate courses, degree, including PhD, and he has been instrumental bringing up at the university. So he has a lot of knowledge as far as yoga in higher education.
And US are interested and enthusiastic yoga practitioners and student friends. We have been talking all about yoga, the way it has taken a step in higher education. I am fortunate to introduce yoga at different stages: yoga certificate course, diploma course, graduate course, post-diploma, postgraduate course, and PhD program. It's the highest number of programs that is being run at Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya. It's not Sanskrit, it's a Sanskriti related to the culture. Over a period of time, I have learned many things. And few things which has come to my mind, particularly relating yoga with higher education, I would like to focus today on those issues. Not dealing with, how and what content it carries in higher education, because you all know, and our speakers have dealt, quite in length. Let me just give you a bit premises on which I would like to build up those issues, because based on those issues, possibly we'll have to work out yoga for higher education. Now, the moment we call yoga, I would like to simply say there are two major areas. Over a period of time, when I was talking to people practicing yoga and academicians who are deeply involved into it, then some of the observations which I have got, I am going to reflect on that. They call it attachment with the nature, samagrata and sampurnata. Samagrata and sampurnata. Samagrata is the attachment with the nature, and sampurnata is the attachment of the God. And they say that it's not detachment and it's not disintegration. And the first point says that it's a simple, healthy body, purity of heart and purity of mind. So this is very closely related to this. And lastly, it's a biological and psychological nature of a person, and particularly developing a kind of rhythm into it. And that becomes very, very important and significant. We know this pretty well, so I would not like to say anything. The last one, union of body, mind and soul, we have been talking about it, and I think the focus of yoga is on this only. Now, straight we're coming to yoga education. Why yoga education? What for we are talking about it? If we just go through the whole literature, you will find few things, many things, but I have indicated here few things only, just to attract your attention. One is the creating values, forgetting about other aspect. We wish to create values, promote values, and apply values in our day-to-day life. And that's the reason why we yoga education, it answers these particular questions. Now, secondly, if you would like to see the research in this area, value competency model has been developed by Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and it says very clearly, howsoever small values you have, it is very important. Howsoever big competency you have, if you don't possess the value system, these competencies, carry So more value, less competency is far better than less competency, more value. So less value, more competency. It is other way around. So value competency more says higher is the value, higher is the performance, higher is the efficiency, higher is the effectiveness. And that's the reason why we talk about the value system in yogic sciences. The next, which is important aspect where emphasis is given, is on character, the competence, and the culture. These three areas we keep on giving the importance. Now, other aspect of yoga is for the removal of avidya, and avidya is the ignorance. In many ways, it has been talked about it, but this remains one of the main objectives. And further, it is to understand the self, removal of fear, and excellence in action. Excel in action, not excellence in action. Now, why I am saying about these objectives? Because these forms the basic premise of what I am going to talk about. Now, I am going to talk about the aims and objectives, primarily what we are looking at in higher education. Now here, presenting yoga with ancient traditions, content and context, teaching yoga and its philosophy in a modern scientific framework. This is where we are trying to develop. And for this, delivery of academic program, the topic which is gaining a lot of importance. Now in this particular topic, what we say is that yoga is in the process of evolution. Now we have not evolved fully. It is in the process. And the moment we say it is in the process, look at the moment we are looking at the academic programs parameters, then it is becoming very difficult to say. Somebody is calling yoga as a science, some say yoga is an art, some say yoga is science and art. Now this has diluted the basic concept of yoga. You need to be very clear about it. Should we call yoga as a science or should we call yoga as an art? And not many discussions are gone in, and the time has come where we need to evolve and we need to make it very specific and very clear before the people. Now, well accepted body of knowledge. Have we accepted? Have we made the body of knowledge? Here, there are two questions. Now, the moment you look at this and see the curriculum of yoga, you find naturopathy is included, you find pranic healing is included, acupressure is included, anatomy, physiology, this is also included, many things are included, and we have made it interdisciplinary. Now that's the reason I am saying, evolving the body of knowledge of yoga, a true body of knowledge, which we can say that we are concentrating on and focusing on yoga only. So now this is also one of the glaring issues which need to be discussed, deliberated, and we need to come up and make it very specific in case we would like to make it interdisciplinary. Theory, practice, and its application. Now this is yet another area where we need to look at. Theory, whatever theories are there, are we going to, have we practiced it and have we started applying it? Now there need to be a sequential order and we need to clarify this issue. Standardization of curriculum, whether it's a certificate, diploma, it's a graduate, postgraduate, whatever, we need to standardize the whole curriculum, and that is gaining importance. Scope of academic progression. How do we go from certificate to diploma, diploma to higher diploma to postgraduate degree, or graduation to postgraduate diploma to higher education degree. So it's an academic progression that is very, very important and significant. So is the case of examination system. How do we think of examining? Now QCI, Quality Control of India, they have come out and they have come out with a curriculum based on which people can appear in the exam, and if they pass in their assessment, they get a certification as a trainer, as a practitioner, they get a certification. Now, this examination system varies. Examination system, what we have in educational as an institution is different than what PCI is going to have it. So we need to be very clear about this. Similar is the case of certification, and more important is emergence, growth and development of the teacher, which our Honorable Vice Chancellor was talking right in the morning and in the inaugural function. That is also very, very important. So in the delivery of academic program, we need to look at these aspects, and possibly this will help us introducing or developing yoga curriculum in higher education. Now coming to the research. In the research area, academic versus non-academic research, these two types of researches we are able to look at. Now there are some researches which are isolated, and there are few researches which are integrated, or what we call it a coordinated research project. Coordinated means a project being undertaken in one institution, the same project is taken by another institution, and the same one is taken by yet another institution. We collect the data, make an analysis, and finally come out with a finding. This is known as integrated or coordinated project. That is how we have indicated. The reliability and validity of the finding, that is important. Implication of the finding, how important it is and how it is going on, how much to extent to which the findings have been applied. These things are important. Research publications, research promotion through projects and PhD program. This is also becoming very important and significant. Now coming to the community services, what is happening? Community services, as we see, as generalist. Now as a generalist, I have written in any and many services and anywhere and everywhere. We have started talking anywhere and everywhere, and any services and many services. We have started talking about. Now, in community services, we need to have a relook to this, and otherwise, we need to enlarge and expand the scope as a professor, which is very important. Until unless we gain the status of a professional, it is very difficult for anybody to put them for earning and really make them a real professional who is required by the society. Yoga practitioner and even master degree holders are not allowed in UK and USA to practice yoga. They need a certification. You need to have a certificate, qualified, and as a kind of certificate which is accepted at an international arena. So what happens here? As a professional, we are not allowed to practice like a doctor. When we will be allowed to practice and say that yes, we are also doing a kind of services which is being recognized by the society. So as a profession, this is getting important. And the moment we are talking about as a profession, yoga in relation to health is one area. Yoga in relation to human consciousness, that is gaining ground. It is another area, and yoga in relation to human excellence. This is yet another area and very important and significant. That's how we have started talking about it. Now the premise is the effect has been studied in many ways, and many findings could be quoted. The moment we see the physiological effect, we see in many areas, starting from parasympathetic nervous system, improving the immunity, relaxing the muscles, and so on and so forth. These areas are getting ground. Most important area which has attracted attention is the immunity, and the immunity-based disorders are increasing almost every month, every year. We have been noticing, and it has been promoted, it has been discussed and deliberated in different forums. Now, what is happening when we start looking at psychological benefit, or we start looking at the consciousness studies which have been conducted, or yoga therapy? Now, in yoga therapy, we have started talking about the 5 six chakras, nadis, pranas, and we have started undertaking research in this area. Why I am reflecting it? The moment you would like like to develop the body of knowledge in the field of yoga, then possibly we need to look at, these areas, and we need to undertake researching and form a different set of body of knowledge that could be added to the yogic science, and on the basis of this, we can enrich and enlarge the scope of yoga. And that's the reason I am indicating these areas which are very closely related to the yogic science. Friends, hidden layer of the body, whether we talk about the chakras or we talk about the seat, there are another area which is gaining importance and which will give us a different set of body of knowledge for yoga. That's the three bodies. We call it cross body, we talk it subtle body, and we talk it casual body. And the moment you start going deep into these bodies, and you start finding out, oh God, these bodies exist, and people can enlarge and expand themselves to any extent based on the body. I am alive, I have physical body, I can work with my physical body, I can work with my thought body, the moment we talk about the subtle body. And the moment we talk about the casual body, then I am working with my feeling-based body, with my sentiment-based body. That's the casual body. So what happens when you start working in a bigger gamut, these bodies, now researches can help us enlarging and expanding many areas of yogic science. Friends, the moment we like to, achieve excellence, let me say, now not we are talking about the physical person or intelligence person or emotional person. We have started talking about the value person, and we have gone up to the spiritual person, SQ. So the value person, VQ and SQ, in case you would like to study more and go deep into it, many things are very closely related to the yogic science, since time is a limiting factor. So I can only quote and I can only say that let's work, on emotional person, on value person, and the spiritual person to enlarge the body. Looking within and looking beyond is the mechanism, is the process in the yogic science. We can look within and we can look beyond. And beyond means, and if these two areas combine together, you are in the cosmos, in a different arena, in a different world altogether. That is what we say and we talk about it. Finally, let me say that, yoga should be a part of education system, and it should be integrated in such a manner where man does not become a man by structure, but man become a man by nature. We have two hands, we have two legs, we have head and eyes and ears, so we cannot become a man. In order to be a man, we need to have a different set of nature, and that is what we can get through yoga. Thank you, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We have some questions now. We already have some questions which has been sent to us, but we can take up more. There are some questions from Mr. Sharad. This one is for Hiroshi and
This question is, why are you teaching yoga in your university? For creating jobs or for creating good human beings? And I think that's a fundamental question when you're talking about yoga in higher education. And that's why I divided my talk into two parts. One is to provide a forum where a full and complete education in philosophy and understanding of yoga can be conveyed by experts. But the other reason, of course, is to create better human beings, to make better functioning human beings. So there's two sides of that coin, and I think both are valuable. So I think both are necessary and both are valuable.
would you like to say something?
Yes. Because we need a philosophy of life. There are concepts and principle may be very ancient, but the society is not rapidly changing in this globalized world. Then, as an individual, so our anxiety is who am I? This is everybody facing this. In a sense, it's year by year. So now, so we need to rediscover our roots. And in the modern society, what is meaning in the tradition? Of course, we are not impossible. It's not impossible to return to our ancestral lifestyle. So we are happy to enjoy at least the modern technical lifestyle. But at the same time, as essence, as a human being, as a man, we need a philosophy. This is not only the scientific research about yoga, but what is more, it needs the philosophy of life. So that's why so we are in this modern context, which are implement into the.
Any question for Professor Mishra? I'm sure there might be many.
So I just want one thing, can we share your slides that you have? Can you get it? Because it was so fast. Yeah, it was so fast that we couldn't really.
They will be.
Okay, thanks.
I don't have to share that.
Yes, so they're really good, but we didn't have time to really.
It was a limited time, so I
Yes,
thought,
I agree.
let me just touch upon it.
Yes.
There is a question for me as well. Why doctors should recommend yoga? Won't they lose their money? Yes, good one. Let me share. That's why there is a need to educate them, make them aware about the deficiencies in their working and something which yoga can offer. So this is one aspect, that we need to educate everybody in healthcare system, not to make them yogi, but just to make them receptive. There is lots of resistance in doctors, particularly the older one, let me share. Although they are supposed to be wise, but they are carrying the old traditional teachings of medical science. They are very rigid. Before coming to this conference, I discussed this in Bangalore and the institute, and I could sense the resistance coming from some of the doctors. The medical students are already burdened so much with their studies. Why you want to burden more in teaching them yoga? But the aim is not to make them yogi. The aim is only to make them receptive. So this is one aspect. Other aspect is, which is on your part, which every yoga therapist, a yoga teacher must understand, that it is not an alternative medicine. It is not an alternative to what the modern science is offering. It is only a complementary aspect in healthcare and wellness. So it has to be offered as an adjunct to therapies, adjunct to whatever you do to maintain good health. So if you understand it, we may succeed. If you offer or if you propagate the idea of taking up yoga and giving up other healthcare measures, perhaps we won't succeed. So this is what I'd like to caution on the both sides, the medical fraternity as well as yoga fraternity. Okay, so any more questions? There are two more, but let me see whether we have the time. We have exceeded the time.
Just read out the
I'll read out the questions. Experts saying, trained students, teachers, etc. What about parents? They are biggest obstacle in yoga adoption by the kids because in India. Anybody would like to ask? Okay, I'll do that quickly. Well, again, it's more about creating awareness. So we have to create awareness among parents also, as well as teachers and students. But let us see things in a larger perspective, not today's perspective only. The time frame can be a bigger one. Today's students, they will become parents tomorrow. So let us start right away. So we keep doing it. Here I'd like to caution one thing. Share our experience. We have burnt our fingers while delivering yoga teachings. 20 years back, when we just started, a 2 days program for the students, and one fine day we find that none of the students turned up. The reason being, they called up their parents, telling them that we came here to study medicine, but these fellows are teaching us yoga. And nobody turned up. It was a big surprise, and we felt so frustrated about it. The reason being, yoga is equated with religion. We need to differentiate religion from yoga. While talking in a scientific forum, while talking to a student who has come to study science, we have to keep aside religion. Quite often, yoga teachings are mixed up with our religious beliefs. So we need to be careful. Although we derive lots of things from our religion, but we have to put in a way with scientific evidence. So that's what we learn. Okay, the other question is, hospitals and schools must conduct yoga awareness workshop for the parents to explain importance. Yes, that also is desirable. That's all. So these were the questions. And any comment, anything, and from the audience, anybody of you would like to stand up and say anything you feel like, you're most welcome to do that.
Only one thing I would like to say, with the permission. Thank you.
Yeah, you go.
A simple question is there, but I am not able to understand this. May I like to say again? We have written many kinds of yoga, and
this is followed by different institutions and different books. There are different things available. That at the same time of yoga, you can do in different ways and mudras, but there is no concession. There is no.
that is what we are trying with the Indian Yoga Association. We are trying what we are trying to. So there are many sects. Many sects are there. What we are saying that 70% let it be common, and 30% anybody would like to add anything into it, they can add for that. So 70% you will find common content, 70%, and 30% you may not find. 30% is going to be based on the kind of specialty a particular organization has. So organization will add that 30% into it. So it is going to take some time, but definitely this is going to happen.
So we can conclude now? Yeah. Okay. So I would like to
I would just like to make a comment.
Yes, please.
I have just one question, can I? A question.
Why not? Just a minute. I'll just say that yoga is for all of us. And remember just 2 words, and that would sum it up all, actually speaking. From distress to de-stress is what is the aim of yoga. From distress to de-stress. That should be. And if you have understood it, then believe you me, you would have done services to our own selves and to the community at large.
Thank you, sir. It's a beautiful words. Please come.
I just have one question for Mr. Sabir. Sir, in the United States, the science of yoga is looked upon as something which is more for the people who are, middle-aged or not for the people who are young, and they will always like to go in for gym and more expressive kind of exercises. So how do you think that impression will get changed in the United States or in the Western world as a whole?
Well, I think that there are forms of yoga in the West which are very limited forms of yoga practice. And I think this is because yoga has become so popular. Over 10% of the population in the United States is now practicing yoga. So a lot of them are practicing hot yoga, power yoga, fitness yoga. That doesn't mean the traditional contemplative forms of yoga are not being practiced. It just means that there's now diversification. And so you can argue that, say, all those Americans, they're crazy guys, they're doing crazy things to our yoga, our great tradition, they're doing hot yoga with our great tradition.
doesn't make sense to complain. It only makes sense to realize that at least they are doing some asanas. And those asanas will give them a little experience. And they'll say, this is a unique experience, I want more. But I'm not getting it in this style of yoga. So now I'm going to practice a traditional style of yoga to get more. So this is a gateway. Any kind of yoga practice is a gateway to a more traditional practice of yoga. So I look at this as positive. Even hot yoga is better than jogging.